Greetings again and welcome to this session here of the Cooperative Baptist Fellowship, North Carolina. I am graced to share with you all on this workshop centered on engaging youth and young adults for your organizations and your ministries. Again, my name is LaMont Johnson. I know you see it, and I'm going to be in line with our theme, the God who sees. We see this in our scripture. She gave this name to the Lord who spoke to her. You are the God who sees me. For she says, I have now seen the one who sees me. And so we're going to look at engaging youth and young adults. So I want to start off with this quote, courageous leaders have double vision. They see the world as it is and as it could be. Now that's important because to engage this current generation, we must have courageous leadership. We're going to see how that plays within the dynamic of outreach and in-reach engagement for youth and young adults. There's a statement of the problem, which we should always start with. Whenever we're looking at trying to change, trying to correct ills and wrongs, if you will, if I can use that term, trying to make adjustments for our churches, for our ministries. You see on your screen, you see this slide, this one slide of a church. It's a particularly African-American congregation back in the 50s or 60s, full and running over. And you see a modern view. This is not a racial depiction of church, but a trend. This is literally what America is dealing with. Fill in the gap. So how do we get from the churches and the church attendance and affiliation of years ago, religious affiliation, denominational affiliation, being linked to organized religion, structured denominational life, to where we are now? First, we have to understand we've got to fill this gap. The most recent Gallup poll indicates that religious membership in the U.S. has fallen to just 47% among those surveyed, representing less than half of the adult population for the first time since the Gallup poll began asking the question more than 80 years ago. Growing up, I used to always hear the data or the statistics that America was 70% Christian. Well, that number has drastically changed. So if you're watching this, if you're participating at this annual session and you're saying to myself, whoa, my church is isolated or my church is going through something and you feel as if you're by yourself, you are not alone. But our challenge is finding a collective path to growth, health, and viability. So I thought it important to also see more data. Top reasons U.S. adults give for choosing to attend or not to attend religious services. One, they choose to attend to become closer to God. Secondly, so their children will have a moral foundation. Third, to make themselves a better person. Simply, they need comfort in times of sorrow. At the time of this recording, literally 3 weeks ago, we had a gentleman visit our church, dating one of our young adults. We had an open altar call, COVIDly conscious, of course. I'm in the pulpit with my mask on, and he came down. We did not know whether or not he was coming to accept Christ as his Lord or to join our church. He simply wanted prayer. I fist bumped him from the pulpit and prayed with him. His name was Michael. I'll never forget it. Literally, the day of this recording, I received a call 3 weeks after he came to church, actually 2 weeks after he came to church, that he had had a massive heart attack and died. His family, his friends will come. They will be connected to church because of grief and sorrow. How we connect with them, how we follow up with them in bereavement and grief care, ultimately may determine whether or not they connect, and whether or not, more importantly, we're connecting them to God. And so here are some other ways among U.S. adults who attend religious services a few times a year or less often. We see this idea of why they do not attend more often. They practice faith in other ways. Now 28% say they are not believers, or I haven't found a church or house of worship that I like. These are all dynamics, all data points that should give us the fuel to move us forward in creating programs that'll help bridge the gap and win the lives of those in those demographics the church often says we're missing. So everything rises and falls on leadership. I said it earlier because we're going to hear this again as we unpack the idea of how we can actually connect and engage with our youth and young adults. I love that. I'm a student of leadership studies. So John Maxwell reminds us everything rises and falls on leadership. It takes courageous leaders to create courageous leaders. I'm going to say that again, friends. It takes courageous leaders to create courageous leaders. Not simply the idea of followership, but leadership. You must have followership. There must be disciples, the 12 disciples, before we have the 12 apostles. But it took the courageous leadership of Jesus to help transform the consciousness, not just of the 12 disciples, but even in the language of those who would gather, the throngs of those who gather around. And so our message does not change, but our methods does. They must. They have to, if we're going to engage our youth and young adult. So by bridging the gap, by seeing that portrait of this large, overwhelmingly attended church to that of those that are sparsely attended, how can we bridge the gap? First of all, admit that there's a gap. This is not rocket science. It's not hard. First, we have to say there is a problem, and not that this new norm, as we call it, is acceptable or even God's will, but the desire to make sure beyond just filling a pew, that we are able to feel the hearts and minds of those who sit in the pew. But we have to admit that there is a gap, and then proceed with an open mind and an open heart. Here's the hard part. Leave judgment at the door. I don't know if you can see it under this suit, but this is a fit preacher. I try to stay fit. I try to stay at the gym. The gym I work at is called Planet Fitness. And one of the things that I love with going to Planet Fitness is above their door when you go in, they have a sign that says you're entering the judgment-free zone. So for all that are watching, whatever your context, whatever your leadership position, imagine if that was the consciousness of the doors of your church, that when visitors, family, and friends came in, they knew they were entering a judgment-free zone. Fourthly, be yourself and bring your own gifts to the table. All of us are differently abled. All of us are differently gifted. So be yourself and bring your own gifts to the table. And then understand and extend empathy and compassion. It takes a listening ear, an open heart, to meet the needs of this generation, millennials and exennials, these young people, as many in the church would call them, or state. It takes compassion to be able to listen to their music and not judge their beats. It takes empathy and compassion to see their attire and know that whatever generation you came up, somebody was looking at your outfits too, your bell bottoms, your clothes, whatever you were wearing when you were that age. So we must have and extend understanding, empathy, and compassion. And remember where the Lord has brought you from. All of us, whether we are born into church, whether we have been converts, we don't use that word a lot, converted, to be changed from one theological thinking, one dogma, one doctrine to another. Conversion, to be changed. And so if that was you that came in and was changed, or you were homegrown in church, you still have a salvation story. There is still somewhere the Lord has brought you from, and so that must be translated through love and compassion to others, to that younger generation. And if you're younger, to your peers, your colleagues, to understand where they are. And so here it is. How, Dr. Johnson, how, LaMont, do we engage authentically? What are some tools that we can use to engage? Well, I know you're looking at me and saying, "My goodness, that's a handsome presenter." I know. I mean, it's okay. It's okay. But I'd rather be seen as a cute soul winner. Yeah, a CUTE soul winner. A CUTE evangelist. A CUTE pastor. Somebody that's cute. That's what I want. I want y'all to walk away with today is that you're going to be a cute church, a cute organization. Well, Dr. Johnson, what are you talking about? You've got to become a cute organization. Yeah. An organization, a church that is culturally sensitive. Many of our churches have members that are not walking to our doors. They're driving in. They're driving in from different communities. They're coming with different backgrounds. They're at different educational and economic strata that are in our pews. And this also is so with young adults. And so we must be culturally sensitive to their context. As church leaders, here it is, courageous leaders have to be informed about your population. So whether you're a pastor, whether you are a Sunday school teacher, a director of Christian education, whether you are a youth worker, you must be culturally sensitive. And that is that you are someone that cares about the culture of the Christian or non-Christian, that you care enough to do the research to make sure your language is right, to make sure that you're culturally appropriate in speaking to those who are new converts or those who are new attendees at your church, to those who may come one time, and hopefully you'll get them to come back again. Secondly, a cute organization or a cute church is one that is understanding of new trends. Here we are, virtually bringing ministry to you. That's a new trend. Here we are with technology that just a few years ago was not primary on churches' budget lines. New trends. Zoom worship. Bringing ministry to homes. It's what we should have always been doing. But technology changes. Trends change. And as a church, we are not to necessarily follow the trends of the world, but we need to ensure that trends that influence our membership, influence that demographic we need to connect to, that we are aware of. So we must have that type of TikTok mentality with a meta. It used to be Facebook, with a meta type of ministry mindset. Not that we're going to be something the world is, something that culture, the outside culture is, but to state our members are going out, our friends, our family, churchgoers, our college students, our seminarians are still going home and they're following trends. So we must have an understanding of these trends. And then we must be trend setters. The church should be above and in front of trends. And as we understand that, then we can, without question, be transformational in our communicating of doctrine. What do you mean? Your belief system does not change. Whether you're in jeans, whether you're in a blazer, whether you're in a robe, your belief system does not change. The word is still the truth. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. That doesn't change. But your consciousness of what a transformational type leader is and how a transformational leader births transformational leaders is transformative in and of itself. George McGregor Burns presented that in the late 70s, 1979, to the world, the idea of transformational leadership. Coming on the heels of what many churches were talking about and still talking about servant leadership at the time. But transformational leadership in the classic sense looks at 4 I's: idealized influence, inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and it also looks at individualized consideration. In other words, a transformational leader does not just look at a person transactionally to get out of them what they need, but it is the idea that as a transformational leader, I'm going to help you have all the tools in your toolbox to not be dependent on me as a leader, but to have what you need to create other leaders. I believe that's what Jesus did over and over and over again. He kept encouraging his disciples. Listen, watch what I do, and greater works shall you do. Do what I do, and greater works shall you do. It is the concept of transforming the mind, but allowing the leader to create followers that will no longer need the leader. That's how we bridge the gap, to create a generation of young adults that don't simply attend church, but they are the church. To create a group of youth leaders that are not just brought in on Youth Day, but are there for homecoming celebrations, there to create the curriculum for Vacation Bible School, there to be at the table when we're talking about how we're going to evangelize their generation. And then lastly, a cute organization is encouraging. It must be encouraging to all generations. Yes, I know I pulled that from the Psalms. Of course I did. But encouraging, that is to say that the word that we have is there not to bring you down, but to build you up, to lift you up, to encourage you. And what this next generation needs more than anything on the heels of a global pandemic is a church that is encouraging. Our churches that are encouraging. Our denominational constructs that are encouraging. And so we can hear, even as a Baptist, I hear that Wesleyan hymn, to serve this present age, my calling to fulfill, oh, may all my powers engage to do my master, my Savior's will. That's my hope for you as you engage your youth and young adult, that you're relevant during this season, that you know you have the tools to meet their needs. And then lastly, if you have any questions, I look forward to engaging whatever thought you have. Maybe you have ideas I don't have. That's how we grow together, by sharing together. It is my prayer and my hope that you and your ministry will be everything God has called you to be. Let's continue to reach and lift the masses. God bless you, and thank you for your time.